So this is my week so far. I've recorded this a bit late. This is being recorded on the 13th, as you can see here. Last week there was only two trade opportunities. I scaled into one on the 8th of July, which made me lose $150, which I was okay with. This trade, it missed my entry, so I'm gonna go over them now. So this was break structure to the downside, then break structure to the upside, retested into previous breaker structure, create a new high and new low. Pricing had second breaker structure. That's when I set limit at 50%. I don't even know what that says. Retested. Just get rid of this. Retested 50% at 8 a.m. Didn't have the limit set. Then retested again at 9:15 a.m. with a big imbalanced bearish candle. And I'll start that as soon as I entered. I tried a second entry and drawdown, and they both lost instantly. So that is the breakdown on this trade. So as you can see, break structure to downside, break structure to upside. Then uh then this was the new high. New high retested into this previous breaker structure, which was a good sign. Then as you can see, another breaker structure to the upside. I should have set my limit here and been able to enter at 8 a.m. But what I was actually thinking at that time was because there's a lot of consolidation, I don't know how much it's gonna retest into it. So I didn't want to set a limit here and then be stopped out instantly with a big wick because I've seen that happen before the 8 a.m. candle. So I said, okay, I'm gonna wait for the break structure and then retest and I'm gonna enter from here. But once it did break structure to the upside, I realized, okay, actually it could, now that the 8 a.m. candle's out the way and it's done that big wick, it could just retest back into this area as a whole and then continue, continue up. So for me, this was a very good trade. I entered on the 50% with, a 1 to 3. Then I entered 5 pips into drawdown. So I was in using two lots, 150 lots in total. And then my TP would have obviously been 6%. So risking 150 for 6%, not that bad. So that was that loss. And then this trade was annoying. It's happened before. Was it here that it happened? No, it wasn't here. It was here, I think. Where break structure to the, well, retest, not really a break structure, but a retest of this low. It closed just beneath, you could say. The break structure to the upside. Then the high created a bearish candle created a bullish candle, then the bearish candle retested the high, struggling to close above it. So for me, when it retests and struggles to close above it, it gives me signs that it's gonna reverse. So I was thinking, okay, cool. Retested above it, signs of reversal, closed beneath, and then I've set my limit 50%. Didn't enter, didn't hit my limit, so I didn't enter. And then it continued and hit TP within, I don't know, an hour or two. So that happened there, and that was what, 2 weeks ago now. And then was looking for buys originally, which I was. I was looking for buys originally because of break structure to the upside. So I was looking for break structure, retest, break structure, retest, and then I'd have entered because I wouldn't need the second confirmation for the simple fact this was the all-time highs for this week anyway. Right? These were the most recent highs as well. So it's broken above broken above these highs, and then it's gone on to break above these highs. So I was thinking if it just retests in, then I'll just continue riding the trend up. But as you can see, Thursday again. So Thursday, 2 times now, has shown signs of reversal. And as you can see, it's done the exact same thing. Bullish candle, creates a bearish candle. Bullish candle, retests the highs, struggles to close above it, closes beneath it. I set a limit of 50%. So I was looking for buys originally. High was created at 7:30 a.m., created bearish candles. Bullish candles created, retesting the highs, failed to close above. Bearish candle was then created, closing beneath previous bearish candle, creating breaker structure. Limit set at 50% at 8:30 a.m. 0.6 pips from entry, no sell limit hit. TP hit at 12 p.m. So that would have been a 3.5 hour trade. So as you can see, limit was set, it come 0.6 pips away from my entry, and then she went to TP straight after. Yes, you could argue and say I could have entered on the previous retest, the next retest, which would have been here, or you could say here, or even when it closed above and enter from here, but I only have one entry idea, or you could say entry model for each day. It either hits my original entry or it doesn't. I'm not gonna try chase the trade. I'm not gonna try and find a way to enter a trade that I think's gonna win. Like I'm not just gonna chase the trade, do you know what I'm saying? So if it doesn't hit my original entry, then I'm cool with it and just roll on to the next day because anyhow I entered off here or I entered off the retest of this candle here and then it would go up to then tag in my limit and then I lose, then what? Do I enter again? You get what I'm trying to say? And then if what if that loses, you know? Because this game's all about probability. You don't know exactly which trades are gonna win. You just trade a model or trade a way that best fits your style and best suits you. And you know that from your testing or from your journal or from your wins and your losses, this works, this doesn't, this works. But that doesn't mean what works can't work today. It might work across a year, it might work across several months, but today it might not, right? So this trade could have lost. So if I entered here because I'm like, oh yeah, it's gonna win, like I've seen this before, it's gonna win, and then it loses, and then I enter from here and it loses, that's two stupid mistakes in one day. If I enter here and it loses, and then I say, okay, that's my loss for today, and then it goes here, and then it goes to TP, my original entry, then you'd feel even more annoyed because you've taken a loss on a position you should have won if you just stuck to your original plan, right? So it's best to stick to your original plan. And then if it does win, great. If it does lose, you know what to change because you know, okay, this was my original plan, this is what I set out to do, and it lost. Review it. Why? Cool, you followed all your rules and it still lost, that's fine, right? But if you're changing and altering, oh yeah, I want to get into the retest because you're so confident in the winning, that's when your account's going to take a lot of negative hits, right? So I just let this trade play out. Okay, cool. So I've realized 2 Thursdays now, it's reversed. I had the same model. Okay, and both times it has missed my entry. So that's 6% I've missed out on, right? Both times, right? Two trades. Two trades could have possibly won, but it's also now giving me a good journaling system to let me know, okay, Thursday seems to be the reversal day, right? It seems to reverse on Thursday, right? So if it seems to reverse on Thursday, that can be something I look into. And if it seems to miss my entry by 0.6 pips or 0.5 pips or 1 pip, whatever, then I know, okay, maybe I have to enter manually, right? Maybe I have to enter manually, right? And that can be something I can look into. But I'm not just gonna be like, okay, next Thursday or this Thursday, I'm just gonna enter manually because I've missed two trades now. No, I'm not. I have to build up more of a system, right? I have to build up more of a system. But Monday, I don't trade. Tuesday, there was no trade for how I trade anyway. I was looking for this high to be broken, you know, because this was the high that was created. Then I saw it coming down to here. So I was thinking, oh, maybe a close beneath retest and then entry, but not really. Didn't really happen, but it did. High create low, low create high, big breaker structure, retest into this area, and got no. So if you was to 50%, and if you was to just next day, innit? But yeah, after 12 has no interest to me. So the fact it didn't break structure above or show any signs that it was going to break and retest, it was a no trade day for me. Then here, ready to explain this one. Break structure downside, break structure upside, break structure upside again. Here, retested and take it higher. Didn't play out. You know, very strong bearish candles. Imbalances to the downside, and then as you can see, created bullish momentum and then went in the direction I thought it would. As you can see, break structure here, break structure here. This was the, as you can see, the highs of the week. Obviously, these were the highs of the week on Tuesday, and then Thursday became the new highs of the week here. Took out the highs of the week. There wasn't anywhere else for it to really go because it was the highs of the week. Obviously, it could have continued, but market has market exhaustion, and when it does normally take out the highs of the week, the month, the day, whatever, it does have to show, or not have to, but majority of the time it does show that it's now going to reverse. It's going to retest the area and continue on, or it's just going to reverse. So as you can see, this was the trade I was looking for. Okay, it's taken out the most recent highs, which would be here, and then taken out the weekly high, for this week. Okay, cool. There's signs of reversal. Look for a retest in, and then take price lower. And as you can see, it hit TP, but obviously didn't enter me in. But if you look, it only went 11 pips lower than my TP, and then it fully reversed and you know continued up because the overall trend was an uptrend, but it just had to reverse, retest into this area, retest into whatever structure it needs to retest into, and then continue up. So yeah, it's traded lower, retested into this little zone here where people would have been buying, right? And then it's continued up, breaking structure again, so creating a new high. So I was looking for more buys because I was thinking it's Friday, it should just continue on the trend. But then this was the high, this high was nowhere near being tested. So I was thinking, okay, I'm going to look for sells, and I had marked up this as a breaker structure. I was looking for the retest in, and then once the retest would have happened, I was looking for a breaker structure again, and then I'd have entered on the second one. Because it is a uptrend, you have to obviously not treat it as if, obviously because it's an uptrend, you can't treat it as if it's a downtrend just because it's broker structure to the downside, right? Because as you can see here, you could say, oh, it's broker structure to the downside and look for sales, and then you'd be stopped out. Not because what you're saying is wrong, not because the breaker structure is wrong, but because it's overall an uptrend. So trying to sell against an uptrend, you're going against a trend. You're bound to lose, right? The easiest way to win is to go with the trend. So because it is an uptrend, if it does break structure, I want it to retest into the structure it's just broken, then break again, and then that retest again will show me, okay, there's more possibility that now it actually going to continue to the downside. And you can see it play out here, right? High creates low. That's the low that this is the low that this has created. High retest into the breaker structure, which is this zone here, breaks it again, and then retest back into the structure that's just been broken. And then this is where I'd look for an entry point, right? So high, low, high, low, 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 high, and then it continues on. So if you just high creates low, right? Break a structure, and then you mark out like that. As you can see, 50%, and then you'd enter off of here. If you're aggressive, you can obviously enter on the first breaker structure, but I wouldn't advise that because it's still an uptrend. If it was a downtrend, then you can enter on the first breaker structure, obviously, because the trend's in your favor. But when it's not in your favor, you have to add that extra confidence just to be safe. But yeah, if you entered 10 pip stop loss, yeah, you'd have to have a great spread to not get stopped out. But look at how close that would be, right? So close. You probably lose because it's red, right? But if you just wait for the second breaker structure, right? Second breaker structure, you'd be fine. No worries in the world, right? 3.8 pips drawdown. maybe 4.1 or 4 pip drawdown, depending on spread or who you're with. But yeah, that is my trading week. Today is Monday, as you can see. No trades have been taken, no trades will be taken because I don't trade Monday. But we'll give you a review next Sunday on how this week goes. But yeah, last week down 1.5%, missed out on 3%. So yeah, that is the weekly update.